Hey folks, this is Coach C. And once again, I want to thank you for the overwhelming response that I've been receiving. Thank you. Thank you bunches. Today, I want to talk about there's a question. There's a question about, are we addicted for life? And it depends on who you talk to. Some of us say yes, some of us say no. My position is yes, and I'm going to qualify that so that even if you disagree with me, you understand what I'm talking about, okay? When we talk about addiction, there are basically two models for addiction and recovery. Two primary models, and those are the ones that I want to focus on. One being the medical model, and the other being the behavioral model. Medical model is primarily the disease model of addiction. And I'm sure you've heard it. It's in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, all of the support groups. Their primary focus is the disease model. The other side of it is the behavioral model, and I'll focus on that in a little bit. But let me focus on the disease model for a little bit, because I came through that system and I understand that system fairly well. What the disease model in my mind says is that being addicted is not your fault. I have issues with that because I'm a behaviorist. Disease model, meaning that it's not your fault that you're addicted, is baloney. It is your fault. Just because if you have cancer, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. You could live right, eat right, exercise, do all the things, and go to the doctor for a backache and get diagnosed with the disease of cancer. Stick with me. For addiction, you have to do something. You have to participate. You have to actively do something to get addicted. You can't wake up in the morning, not do anything, and be addicted. Can you feel where I'm coming from? There's a piece that goes, if you wake up on an island in the middle of nowhere and there are no drugs, doesn't make any difference that you feel like you want to get high. You're not going to get high. The disease model says because there's a behavioral, that there's diseases in the brain and so forth and so on that's causing you to do whatever it is you're doing, that's the disease model. Stick with me. Insurance companies pay for the disease model. Insurance companies struggle to pay for the behavioral model. When I came in the field back in the late 70s, early 80s, the disease model got the doctors paid. So you had a drug problem. It was Freudian, the Oedipus complex, and a whole bunch of other medical stuff that really is not important. The important piece I want you to understand is with the medical model, it was facilitated by the fact that that was what paid the most money for treatment. Behaviorally, the other side forces you as the addict to be accountable. You are the one that's accountable for whatever behaviors that you have and the consequences that come as a result of. Remember, when I talked about addiction and I gave you the definition, behaviorally, you have to do something. You have to go out and find the drug, use the drug, feel the effects of it, and the consequences of the drug. Make sense? Think about it. Think about the behaviors that you're doing behaviorally that started when you first started getting high in whatever capacity. So what are the behaviors that are that you are doing now that's affording you a quality of life. That's what we're talking about. Those behaviors that you're doing now that allow you to experience sense of well-being, sense of joy, sense of involvement with family and friends, all of those things that make recovery meaningful. So my call to action this time around is going to be, I want you to assess what drugs fix for you. Because drugs fix something. We take drugs because they feel good. And I know there are life traumas and all that, but what do drugs, or what did drugs fix for you? It's important that you know that. If you're having bad life experiences and you use drugs and now you're not using drugs, what did you change? It's important that you know what drugs fix for you so that your new behaviors or your new learned behaviors change, because that's what we're talking about. It's the change process, and we got to get to that. So think about it. Hit me up on the addictionattitude@gmail.com. Let me know what your thoughts are. Until then, be peaceful.